Irving.
Isiah Thomas.
Kyrie Irving.
Isiah Thomas.
Kyrie Irving.
Isiah Thomas.
21 Irving puts it up. Here's Thomas. High score at 90-90.
And the Cavaliers
7/10 of a second. There's the shot by Steph Curry.
And the game's over, and the Pistons have won the world championship.
He locks the three.
On Hall of Fame Episode 2 of NBA Now and Then, The Greatest Comparisons, we compare two of the most spectacular ball handlers to ever wear an NBA jersey.
As Stephen A. likes to say, this guy is box office.
Their handles exceptional in every way.
He met the criteria to be selected, but he wasn't.
Enough to put the best defender in a blender.
Too many ankles have been broken because of these two.
We are delighted to present to you Kyrie Irving and Isiah Thomas. I'm Uriah.
I'm Maurice.
I'm Lucas.
And I'm Ben.
And we're here to talk NBA
Now and Then.
All right, so we're back, guys. At this point, we're going from a comparison of two great NBA big men to two of the littlest guys, at least stature, on an NBA court. Two guys who are just spectacular when it comes to their guard play. We're going to go to Maurice first when we kind of lean into this episode. Think about this comparison, Maurice. What makes this so special?
Ooh, where do I begin? Like Lucas said, the handles between the two of them, both of them were spectacular. Both of them are highly entertaining to watch, fun to watch. If you're a basketball fan growing up, you want to idolize Kyrie Irving, or in that particular era, Isiah Thomas.
Lucas, he stole your thunder, but it's all right. Go ahead, man.
Well, he didn't get it quite right anyway. So that's okay. That's okay. So I still got it. That's okay. So what I was going to say was Isiah Thomas has some of the best dribbling skills of all time, but Kyrie Irving has the best handles of all time.
There you go.
Okay.
I'm actually going to go personality-wise. These guys are, very confident. Also, like they've always kind of been that guy, and they know it. And so the confidence, whether it be controversial or not, has always been there. That's what stands out to me with both these guys.
I think about these two players, and I think about one of my favorite movies. Actually, no, my favorite movie of all time. It's called Inception. Movie directed and written by Christopher Nolan.
Good
major
movie.
box office smash, starring Leonardo DiCaprio. Now, when you watch this movie, it's like watching these two players play. There's complexities, there's nuance, there's complete, all-dropping, amazing spectacle in terms of entertainment. The levels, if you've seen Inception, you know what I'm talking about. There's levels to that movie in terms of dreams. Well, guess what? Kyrie and Isiah, there are levels to everything they do on the basketball court, particularly at the guard position.
First quarter, background.
Let's talk about Uncle Drew, a.k.a. the Ankle Taker. I didn't even know that was a nickname.
Yeah,
a.k.a. Kyrie Irving. But before he got those nicknames, he was born Kyrie Andrew Irving, 1992 in Melbourne, Australia. His father, Dredrick, played college ball for Boston University. He went on to play professional basketball in Australia. Kyrie, believe it or not, is a dual citizen of Australia and the United States. Irving played high school ball in New Jersey, Kyrie that is, at Montclair Kimberly Academy and St. Patrick High School. After his senior year, Kyrie Irving was named a McDonald's All-American and a first-team All-American by Parade Magazine and USA Today. Guys, growing up, Kyrie had a famous NBA player as a godfather. Anybody want to know who that is?
Oh, I feel like I know this and it's on the tip of my tongue.
Come on.
You guys go ahead.
He's a guard, point guard.
Stephon Marbury.
Close.
Rye Strickland.
Yes. Good job, man. Were you going to say that, Lucas?
No. I just knew it was one of those 90s guards. I couldn't remember who.
Yeah.
I knew
It's all
that.
good.
I didn't cheat on that one.
Okay. Let's get to Kyrie's college days. So when I say college days, I really mean that because he didn't play much. So Irving played one season at Duke. He appeared in just 11 games, but he averaged 17 and a half points on 53.2% from the field and about 5 assists in 2010 and 11. Just one game before suffering a toe injury, Kyrie Irving scored a season-high 31 points while grabbing 6 rebounds and dishing out 4 assists in a win over Michigan State. Unfortunately, Irving missed more than 3 months of the season due to injury. Now, he came back to Duke before the NCAA tournament as a reserve. I have a question. Does anyone know who Kyrie served as a relief player for at Duke when he came back from injury? He's a teammate at Duke.
This was during West Virginia's Final Four run, and I'm a big West Virginia fan, so I remember they played against... It wasn't Nolan Smith?
Nope, another guard. He played for the Sixers.
Oh, Seth Curry.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Damn,
Okay.
yeah.
To wrap up this background session, Kyrie didn't earn any college awards because he didn't play that much with Duke. He was chosen number 1, as you guys know, by Cleveland, number 1 overall pick in the 2011 NBA draft.
With the first pick in the 2011 NBA draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select Kyrie Irving from Duke University.
Kyrie,
Hey, Coach. How you doing?
what's going on? How you feeling?
I'm great, Coach. I'm feeling really good.
Hey, we excited? You know, I'm sorry I had to shoot you out that day, but you know you'll get plenty of chances to get a chance to win a game next time. All right?
Whatever you say, Coach, man. You just better be ready every single day in practice.
No. You better be ready every single day in practice.
Well, I will. Don't worry about it.
Hey, we're excited, man. We're looking forward to you being here tomorrow and getting out there on the floor and getting to work.
Thanks for picking me. Really appreciate it.
Anybody know who that was, the coach?
Larry Drew.
Nope.
No?
Nice try. Nope.
Wasn't he the coach after... No?
Is it Byron Scott?
It's Byron Scott. Byron Scott, former LA Laker, former Indiana Pacer, and yeah. So let's get into Kyrie's background. Let's go with Maurice. Is there anything about high school or college that stands out to you, Maurice, with Kyrie Irving?
Well, first of all, him having a family member in the NBA goes a long way. But besides that, I want to say that him being a New Yorker, even though he's born in Australia, when you're a basketball player growing up in New York, it's just something different. I really can't put my finger on it. It's like your basketball IQ is just a little bit higher. And we all remember Kyrie for, the dribbling and the shooting and the scoring, but the guy was really smart. We've seen that as he progressed in his development, as he go from the NBA to the NBA, but that's one thing you learn growing up as a young player.
Few things that you that I want to touch on that you brought up here. One, Rod Strickland is not the only family member that he has had play in the NBA. Does anybody want to guess who the other one is? But he was, and I'll tell you where he played college at Kentucky.
Can we get a position?
Point guard.
Point guard,
or
Kentucky.
shooting guard. It was one of the two.
Shooting
Combo
guard, Kentucky. Jamal Mashburn? No.
Nope.
I don't know.
He was a forward.
It was in this last century.
I'm stumped.
Go ahead, Lucas. Tell us who it is.
It's Isaiah Briscoe.
Oh,
I would have
man.
never
Cousins.
gotten that one.
Never
Never
heard
would
of
have guessed that.
So yeah, no. I'm surprised he never played for Team Australia in the Olympics. That was kind of surprising. He did play for USA, if I remember correctly.
Like Maurice said, the New York guard, a dad who played D1 basketball and overseas, so he had that kind of discipline. He played even briefly for one season under Coach K. So I just think he had just a really good foundation. And then also, being born in another country, I think that broadens your horizons.
Isn't he part Native American as well?
His mom's Native American, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's got a lot of culture and but yeah, I think the foundational work. It's no coincidence he has such good ball handling skills. He's such an incredible finisher and shooter because he just had I'm guessing his dad was his coach most of his life.
mad props to his dad because, that's how it's supposed to be. Generations, they pass something down to their son and to be better men, and more power to him. As far as his college career, whatever highlights you find on YouTube, him playing at Duke is amazing, and it's no surprise that he went number one. And Kyrie he's still box office, like Maurice said in the opening. So as far as Kyrie, really cut short. That whatever toe that got messed up really hindered his chances of making any noise and collecting accolades collegiately. But I'm pretty sure that NBA title makes up for it.
I was going to say one other thing. His mom died when he was young, so his dad.
Oh, okay.
His dad was like both parents. I know that.
Mm.
I remember coming home from Hawaii, Christmas tournament. When I got back to Chicago, my girlfriend dropped me off at the house. There was no lights, no heat, no phone, no one's home. And I remember walking through the house, and it looked like a bomb had went off in the house. And I went to the window and I saw my girlfriend driving off. And I just stood there crying. That's when I knew that I had to do something.
Oh, I thought he would leave when I was walking off the floor in Philadelphia. I told Jimmy Cruz that I thought we had seen the last of Isiah Thomas as a player for us.
Detroit picks 6'1", 180 pounds, Isiah Thomas of the University of Indiana.
Drafted second overall by the Pistons, Thomas provided instant star power to a team that had won 21 games the previous season.
We just wrapped up talking about Kyrie Irving, and their background couldn't be more different. Let's talk about the baby-faced assassin, a.k.a. Zeke, also known as Isiah Thomas. Now, before he got those nicknames, he was born Isiah Lord Thomas III, 1961. He was the youngest of 9 children while growing up on the west side of Chicago. His family was extremely poor, and they'd sometimes lack food to eat, and on some nights they even had to sleep on the floor. Isiah Thomas's mother was left to raise her children on her own after their father abandoned them. Isiah Thomas was just 3 years old. Growing up, his neighborhood, guys, was so dangerous that Isaiah's mom grounded him for some crazy amount of time just because he came home late. Just want to put it out there. Anybody want to guess how long Isiah got grounded for just for coming home late?
6 months.
Close.
1 month.
Ben?
3.
Well, yeah, I guess for an entire summer. Think about that. Imagine you guys make a mistake and your mom says you're grounded for the whole summer. So
I've had that happen before.
Oh, the mean streets of Delaware. I get it, man.
No, it wasn't for that. It was something else stupid anyway.
Oh, TMI?
Yeah, not your information.
Yeah, okay. All right. Anyway, we're learning a lot about each other with Lucas these days. So back to Isiah. Clearly, rough start. Grew up in a rough situation. Let's get to his basketball career. For his high school career, Isiah Thomas played at St. Joseph's in Westchester. He led his team to the state title game as a junior in 1978. In 1979, he won a gold medal with the U.S. team in the Pan American Games, and he was a McDonald's All-American as a senior. After high school, Isiah Thomas attended Indiana University and played under hard-nosed coach Bobby Knight. His freshman year, he averaged 14.6 points, 5.5 assists. As a 19-year-old sophomore, Isiah put up 16 points, almost 6 assists a game, and he led the Hoosiers to the 1981 NCAA championship. That year, he was an NCAA AP All-American. Before his junior season at IU, Isiah Thomas entered the 1981 draft, where the Pistons selected him with the overall number 2 pick behind Mark Aguirre. Now, before you guys give your take, I was watching a documentary about Isiah Thomas's life, and that clip that I chose was so heartbreaking. And he was on camera telling his story, and he had to decide whether he was going to stay or whether he was going to leave early. And you guys mentioned it earlier in episode 1, Hall of Fame. Guys back then stayed all 4 years. But Isiah Thomas, as you heard, had no choice because of the abject poverty that he was living in. So that being said, Lucas, what stands out to you about Isiah Thomas's background?
Just shows you that you two guys who are so similar in play style can come from completely different scenarios. One lost their mom, both are from single parent homes, but how they, different parents, how they lost those parents were different. The both grew up in rough cities, both had Hall of Fame head coaches, but different eras. Shout out to Bob Knight there. So yeah, no, I mean, look, and like Chicago, especially during that time, was rough. And I remember listening to watching Last Dance, and how Isiah was talking about how he would look out for Jordan in the streets of Chicago when he first started out there.
Hardships growing up can really strengthen you, and from a mental standpoint, Isiah was always one of the toughest dudes on the court, as we've seen later on in his career in the 88 NBA Finals.
That's very kind of what you were saying, like to go after your sophomore year at 19 in that era, 81, that's really rare, but he had to. So I think there's definitely a little bit of a difference in like socioeconomic. Isiah Thomas' dad didn't play professional basketball or have those kind of resources. So yeah, I would say that's the biggest difference. I did research that he ended up getting his degree in the mid 80s, which is kind of cool to see. So he's a smart guy.
Yeah, that's a good grab. It was in criminal justice.
Yeah,
wow. He promised
and 2 years while he's like winning chips is like he had 2 years of school to finish. I was like, that was surprising to see. I was like, wow, that guy is smart.
Yeah, Isiah was very committed. He was on his game in more ways than one. And his Hall of Fame career is evidence of him being able to overcome the obstacles that were none of his fault, but really achieve great things in life.
Second quarter. Statistics.
Irving raising up. Oh, a little bit of jelly at the rim. Irving behind the back, trying to get free. Does so. And there it is. Oh, no. It's Kyrie Irving. Irving handles. Fade away. Got it.
Dinwiddie. Kaminsky out there defensively. Kyrie through the crowd. Floats it in.
Allen had been the start of the first couple of games, and look at the speed dribble by Irving going coast to coast. Irving double team. Pulls back again. Fall away three. Bang!
So now it's time to jump into the numbers with these guys. So let's first start out with their height. Kyrie here is 6'2", 195 pounds. He's worn the numbers 2 and 11. He wore 2 with Cleveland, and most recently with the Mavericks. He wore 11 with the Celtics and the Brooklyn Nets. In terms of his best season, it's kind of hard with Kyrie here because technically he's had better numbers, but those were seasons that were cut short either by injury or by sitting out with COVID because of COVID requirements. So I went with the best numbers that we got so far with the most amount of games played, which would have actually been this past season that Kyrie had. This past season, he averaged 27 points, 5 rebounds, 5.5 assists, 1 steal, only 2 turnovers, while shooting 49% from the floor and 38% from the three-point line, and shot from the foul line 90%. So he was flirting with 60-40-90. I think he actually did reach that number back in the 2020-2021 season when he did reach that club. So that being said, before I move on, he's never led the NBA in any statistical category, but he has been pretty dominant. Now, if we look at career highs, now this is where it gets special, guys, okay? Just hear me out on this. Career highs. He's had a 60-point game before. Not very many NBA players has done that. He did that back in the 21-22 season. He's also had 11 rebounds, 18 assists as a career high. 8 steals, 4 blocks, 9 turnovers. And for those that listened to our last podcast, this is going to shock everybody, but he does not have a career high of 6 fouls. He has a career high of 5.
Oh, he's never fouled out?
He's never fouled out.
Okay.
Yeah. Fun fact.
He beat us to the punch on that one because he knew we were about to rain down.
I knew
Six
it.
fouls.
Yeah, no. So let me go with Uriah first. Uriah, what is your reaction to some of these stats?
First off, I didn't know he had a 60-point game. And the 18 assist game is surprising because I think most everyone would agree that he's like a shoot first type of guard. His shooting percentages were always impressive because Kyrie has every shot in his bag. Not many players can attest to that. So Kyrie's stats are impressive. Had he played more games during that COVID season or any other season where he was injured, maybe in Boston, for example, maybe he could have competed for the scoring title. But I think Kyrie he's just a man. He's a walking bucket. He's fun to watch. I wouldn't be surprised if he ever gets like in a groove in terms of playing games. He could lead the league in scoring, in my opinion.
Yeah, what I would like to add to that is Kyrie, willingly, he could have been one of the best passers, in my opinion, in NBA history. If he would have asserted himself as more of a playmaker, his career high is 18 assists. That's nothing to sneeze at. 18 assists is a lot in one game. He did it against the Toronto Raptors in 2019. I mean, when you have handles like he does, and you can dribble the way he does, he can pass people open. If he wants to do anything on a basketball court, it's in his realm of possibility.
Absolutely. That's a good take there. And just to let you know, his career high in assists for a season is at 6.9. So basically 7 assists a game. So he can be a playmaker. That was back in the 2018-2019 season, his last season with Boston.
And if that were a distinction between these two players, Isiah Thomas, Kyrie Irving, it is going to be in the distribution part. So
and the 3-point shooting.
Well, yeah, I'm sure we'll get to that. Ben, what were you going to say?
It's the efficiency, like Lucas was saying. There's a 50-40-90, and then the seasons he doesn't get 50-40-90, he almost gets it. He's taking contested shots. Like these aren't, him, not to compare him to another active player, but like him and Curry, the shot selection both these guys take, and the efficiency, it's unbelievable. Yeah, that I think that's what stands out the most. It's just like how efficient this dude is from three, from the foul line, all of it.
Isiah against Floyd in the corner. Squares up and gun. He got it! What a big-time basket that was! To Lambeer between the rings. Isiah got inside Floyd. He threw it up and in. And the Pistons lead of 102-101.
Thompson went out of the game. Divac replaces him. Good feed inside from Isiah Thomas, who penetrated.
On this replay, watch Isiah coming off the dribble. Just looks for the drop-off. Now, just think about it. A 1-2-2 trap. Remember, the corners are open on the trap.
Isiah Thomas hits from outside. Woolridge came up empty. Now Detroit again. Thomas hits the basket and is fouled as well, and he didn't even see the ball go in. That's amazing. We've seen some truly amazing shots, particularly from Detroit today.
All right, before we get into the stats, it just hit me. Hubie Brown is a vampire. That dude is 100. He's got to be 100. He's got to be 178 years old.
He might be. He might be that old. We don't know. Look.
Because that clip, Lucas, that clip was from the 88 or 89 postseason against, part of it was against the Bulls, and then the second part was against the Lakers. And Isiah was just killer back then at that time.
He was old then.
Yeah,
Hubie wasn't a young buck back. Like, he was old,
I was about to say, didn't Hubie Brown coach the Grizzlies back in... Back in, what was it, 05?
Yeah, they were good too.
Huh.
Yeah.
Ain't that something? I'm surprised he hasn't retired yet. Anyway, getting back to our main topic, the reason why we're here, let's talk about Isiah's numbers here. He's 6'1", but when you watch the video, he looks a lot smaller than that. I think they probably gave him an inch or two there, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
And then he was 180 pounds at 6'1". And that's interesting because that's a really thin frame. But back then, players were thinner in general, so there's that too. His best season, I'm going to say, was his 4th season when he led the league in assists at essentially 14 assists a game. He averaged 21 points, 14 assists, 4.5 rebounds, 2 steals, 4 turnovers. He shot 46% from the field and 26% from the three-point line. For his career highs, his highest points in a game, tell me if you think it was over or under 50 points. Uri, over, under?
I say under.
Maurice?
Under.
Ben?
Under.
That was too easy. Yeah, it was under. It was 47 points.
Okay.
Now, let me do this again for you guys real quick, make it a little bit harder. Career high in assists. Over, under 20.
Over.
I'll go over.
Over.
Over, under 25.
You're pushing the goalpost now?
Yeah, a little bit.
You got to at least say we were right. All right.
You were right about the first time around.
Thank you for giving us credit for a good guess. So you said over under 25?
Mm-hmm. Actually, I'll say 24. Over, under 24.
All right. Lucas, you're killing us, man.
Okay,
all right.
over, under 24.
Under.
Maurice?
Over.
Ben?
Over.
Ben and Maurice are right. It's 25.
Okay.
He also had a 12 rebound game.
Alex Trebek over here.
Yep. He had an 11 turnover game. It looks like, and they didn't put this in the stat line, but a career high 7 steals. That when they started recording steals, blocks, and turnovers, and it looks like a career high 3 blocks. Hearing those numbers, 25 assist game, which I think was broken by Scott Skiles, if I wasn't correct.
31. 30 or 31 assists.
I think it was one of those. But Isaiah's one of the all-time, pass masters here. Some would say that he's the second best point guard of all time. After hearing those stats, what do you guys think?
14 assists is pretty nuts. Obviously, if you look up like another player in his era, John Stockton was putting up similar numbers, but John wasn't really putting up over 20 points.
He was pass first.
Yeah, so the fact that Isaiah was on a pretty well-rounded team, but he technically was the number one option on most of those squads. So the fact that he was consistently giving you 20 and 10, the 20 and 14, that's pretty rare. You don't see that often.
When it comes to like all-time numbers, we were kind of robbed because, as most people know, in terms of like, how do I say this? In terms of total assists, he could have had so much more. He's 10th all time and for in NBA history. But those that remember, he tore his Achilles, and that essentially ended his career. He was only 32. Granted, now he had a drop off in assist at that point because he was only in his last season. He was only averaging about 7 assists, but still, it's Isaiah.
Was that 93 or 94?
That was the 93-4 season. Yes, so 94, the end of the 94 season.
Yeah, and that's a shame because the modern medicine at that point, Achilles wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's still terrible now. Don't get me wrong, but I mean.
But KD, right? KD had
Yep.
Didn't he have an Achilles injury?
KD, Clay.
Yeah, look how he bounced back. Yeah.
But this is 94, which is a lot different. But going back to your original point, in that era where you have Magic Johnson and then later on John Stockton, both are more pass-first guys. And we have to also keep in context that the Detroit Pistons were a defensive-first team.
Yes.
So Isiah Thomas had to carry a big load offensively, and we mentioned that in our previous pod about Hakeem Olajuwon. When you have to carry that much of a load offensively and still give something defensively, because Isaiah wasn't a negative on the defensive end by any means. 3 blocks from a guy who's 6 feet is pretty good. So when you have to put all that into the equation, he was a dynamic basketball player, and maybe an overstatement to say on both ends, but he made a big difference. on both ends of the basketball court, in my opinion.
He was not afraid of Jordan. There's a lot of highlights where he would strip the ball from Jordan or meet him at the rim and rip the ball out of Jordan's hands. But as far as statistically, I think, Lucas, when it comes to Isiah Thomas, I think his shooting was necessary because they were a defensive first team and they didn't have any potent offensive players the way Kyrie did. I mean, you're playing alongside LeBron James for several seasons, Kevin Love, etc. He has options, right? And he can pick and choose when he's going to score, talking about Kyrie. But Isiah was that dude. He had Joe Dumars for a significant amount of seasons. But other than that, you had James Edwards on the block. You had Vinnie Johnson off the bench. And John Sally Rodman lob threats, turning garbage into gold. At the same time, I think what gets overlooked is the eras. Yes, you can respect both eras that players played in. But just to be honest, if Isiah Thomas played in today's era, I think his numbers would inflate just because of the way teams play defense and offense now. There was less room to operate in the 80s because teams didn't shoot a lot of threes. So Isiah, when he got to the rim, it was off pure determination, pure skill. Of course, they set picks back then, but Kyrie now, man, this guy, because he has great handles, as you say, Lucas, but his teammates, centers, are stretching the floor. James Edwards was not stretching the floor by any means. Now, Bill Laimbeer was, but I do think that Isaiah's his scoring and his assists, oh my goodness. He was such a phenomenal passer. I think kids don't understand how good of a passer he was. Not that Kyrie's not a good passer, but different roles, different eras.
So you're telling me, Uriah, Rick Mahorn wasn't stretching the court?
Oh, man. Thump and bump with the Sixers. Yeah, I think, Mahorn is a negative good buddy. He was an enforcer back in the day.
And another thing, you talk about how he had to attack the paint with not a lot of room. Remember, the Pistons were the bad boys. And if you wanted to get back at them, the easiest player to target was Zeke. So he got more brunt than almost any other superstar, except for maybe Michael Jordan at the time. So,
you remember the clip of Carmelo elbowing Isiah Thomas, broke his nose?
Carmelo
Carl Malone. And then a fun fact, Steven Jackson got Karl Malone back when
I heard
he was a rookie. Yeah.
I heard that podcast.
Yeah.
Was
that
it
was
All the Smoke?
Yeah, All the Smoke.
Yeah. That was interesting, to say the least.
Was it Steven Jackson? No, it wasn't Steven Jackson. It was Kenyon Martin. My bad.
Kenyon Martin. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Third quarter, accolades.
34 points, 8 for 8 from three-point range, 9 assists, unbelievable performance. When you're coming in with all these stars, all this talent, how are you able to shine above them all?
Well, this is a game to have fun. I enjoy myself so much with these guys. All these young guys, we're growing together. It's exciting. It's going to be exciting to see where we end up, 5 years down the line. So it's been exciting.
As a terrific player growing up, also in high school, going to Duke, having your career cut short after just 11 games, what's all this mean to you?
It means a lot. I worked my butt off and during the lockout, and it feels good to finally be here and playing with these guys once again. I had a great time. It's only day one, All-Star weekend. So tomorrow, I'll be here tomorrow night.
All right, so we're going to start off with Kyrie Irving and his accolades. Starting off in 2012, Kyrie Irving was named the NBA Rookie of the Year, coming off that first pick. So then he was NBA All-Rookie First Team. He also was the Rising Stars Challenge MVP. And then the following year, he won the three-point contest. And in 2014, Kyrie was named the USA Men's Basketball Male Athlete of the Year. He was the FIBA World Cup MVP. And then he was All FIBA World Cup. He was on the All FIBA World Cup team. And in that year, he won the NBA All-Star Game, which is, I believe, the clip we just heard. And then LeBron teamed up with him the following year. So he started winning more games. But then in 2015, he was named to the All-NBA third team. He was an 8-time NBA All-Star, 3 times in a row from 2013 to 2015, 2017 to 2019, 2021, and then this past year in 2023. He was named All-NBA second team in 2019 And then he was named All-NBA third team again in 2021, which is the year that he was in the 50-40-90 club. Not many players have ever done that. And Kyrie is always almost there. And in 2016, Kyrie Irving won the NBA championship, the famous team that was down 3-1, and that came back against the 73-win Golden State Warriors. And probably one of his bigger accomplishments is in 2016, he won a gold medal with the Olympic team, and he played for the US team, not the Australian team. And then he won the World Cup in 2014, and then the under 18 championship in 2010. He has had a lot of, I would say, team awards, which is not as many accolades as I would have thought personally, given how talented he is, but that could be the teammates he's played with. Probably he's played with a lot of top 5, top 10 NBA players. So he's been on a number of super teams. So I think he's taken a back seat to his stats, in my opinion, which leads to these accolades. So that's not really his fault. But what do you guys see from that? I'm going to start with you, Uriah. What stands out?
By the way, that audio clip was when he won the Rising Stars Challenge.
Okay.
Yeah, he won.
I knew it was an all-star.
Yeah. No, it was Craig Sager was giving him that award. Kyrie was given the All-Star MVP award by, not David Stern.
Adam Silver?
Yeah, Adam Silver. I always get those guys mixed up. So anyway, accolades-wise, Kyrie Irving, surprisingly to me, maybe deserved more All-NBA team. But we all know that in this era of James Harden and Steph Curry, there's no way anyone but those two guys are cracking the top tier team, All-NBA. NBA champ stands out. He's the one that hit that big shot in the fourth quarter of Game 7 on the road in Golden State. So he's clutch. He's dynamic. He's a magician with the basketball. And, if he does get more accolades from here out, hopefully off-court stuff won't prevent him from accumulating more hardware to add to his legacy. But we'll just have to wait and see.
What Uriah said is perfectly correct. And I gave the stat earlier about the 18 assists. That was with the Boston Celtics. And that was with the young Jason Tatum, young Jaylen Brown team. Kyrie Irving, as his career is going on, specifically when LeBron got back to Cleveland, he's taken a step back, but he was still impactful. And that takes a skill in itself to be dynamic and be impactful and change the game and still be the number 2 guy, quote unquote, the number 2 guy. Even in Boston, where he mostly considered to be the number 1 guy, you have to pace yourself in what you can do on a basketball court night in, night out statistically. And Kyrie has done a good job of that. And like I said before, if he wanted to, he could lead the league in assists. I truly believe that.
Yeah, for me, Ben, I just think to myself, what if he actually could stay healthy? What if he didn't have that COVID year? What could have happened then? He's robbed himself, not only of paychecks, but of awards and somewhat of his reputation at times. So I just think to myself, like, what could have been when I think about those awards?
Yeah, I like that, especially that 2021 team, the Kevin Durant toe line. Like, Kyrie was hurt in that series, and they were dominating that series. He was dominating the Bucks, and so I feel like there could have been a Finals MVP in there. And yeah, between the last couple of years, between injuries, all the COVID drama and other personal stuff, last year was arguably his best statistical year. So yeah, maybe the Mavs can get it together.
But I remember the Globetrotters came out and they put on the show. And I'll never forget Curly Neal and Marcus Haynes dribbling that basketball. And Curly Neal called a lot of us out into the cement where they were doing the show. And he was patting that thing. And they were all patting it. And they was dribbling it like they were playing the piano. I went home, And my mom will remember this, my brothers will remember this when I say it, and my sister will remember it. I got a milk crate, and I set it in front of the house. I wasn't tall enough to hang it on anything. We were living on Menard and Adams. And I got my basketball, and I went to dribbling and shooting it in the milk crate. I was even dunking then in the milk crate. But that inspired me. That day, that gave me the power to dream, the power to hope, and the power to be.
Little context there. That is the Isiah Thomas Hall of Fame speech that he gave, talking about when he was inspired to learn how to play basketball.
This was the most impressive for me. He was a 12 straight time NBA All-Star. Literally from his rookie year, through his entire career, this guy was an All-Star up until the Achilles injury that made him retire early. So this guy never missed a beat. Like, he was an All-Star the entire time. He was the NBA All-Rookie First Team in 82. He was an NBA Assist Leader in 85. He was the J. Walter Kennedy Citizens Award in 87. Going back to what we were saying about he's a good teammate. He was All-NBA Second Team in 83 and 87. All-NBA Third Team, 84 to 86. He was the NBA All-Star Game MVP in 84 and 86. He is a two-time NBA champion, 1989, 1990. And he was the NBA Finals MVP in 1990. And he is part of the NBA Anniversary Team, the 50th and 75th. And he won a Pan American Games gold medal in 1979 in San Juan. But he was never selected to, famously, the Olympic team. So, and then as a coach, he was an All-Star Game coach in 03.
Do we all agree that he should have been on that Olympic team, the Dream Team?
Yes, sir.
I do believe he should have been on that team and replaced John Stockton. Most people would have that opinion.
Except John Stockton. And
Carl Malone. Fair point. Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
Maybe Michael, too.
I'd say Chris Mullin.
Yeah.
I know Chris Mullin was putting up numbers, but I'd say Chris Mullin was the guy that cut off that list. I know he's a different position, but
fair.
We could easily cut Christian Laettner, that's for sure.
Yeah, there was really no need to have Christian on that team.
Yeah, but real quick about the accolades. When you think about the 80s, you think of Magic, you think of Bird, you think of Jordan. Isiah was a staple. Isiah was, I want to say he was one of the most winningest of that era outside of Bird and Magic. When you face the Detroit Pistons, the bad boy Pistons, you know you're in for a long night. You knew that Isiah was going to do what Isiah wanted. He was going to control the pace, to control the tempo of the game. He was going to score, and they were going to beat you up. And when it comes to the accolades, we think of Magic, we think of Bird, but Isiah was right there as one of the top guards of that era. We need to remember that.
Like with Kyrie, I think about what's missing here. Were there plenty of qualified players to win the MVP the year that he led the league in assists? Absolutely. But I think you could have made a strong case that he could have made an MVP at least once. If he's the second best point guard of all times, he needs at least one MVP, in my opinion, there. But the bigger travesty, and we've already talked about it, is being left off the Dream Team. If he was never left off the Dream Team, I think the narrative about his career is completely different.
Agreed.
But now it's kind of seemed like he was a pariah among his peers during that time. I get it. Maybe it was just payback for the bad boy Pistons. Who knows?
it's tough because it's similar to what we were saying with Kyrie, what Uriah was saying. It's like Steph is arguably top 10 all time, and James Harden is in his prime was one of the greatest scorers of all time, and that's who Kyrie has. Those are his peers. And with Isiah, it's Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan. Those are perennial top 5, top 10 players. So it's like, I think that's something that's what stands out to me. And they're
kind of pariahs, aren't they, in their generation? They're both kind of pariahs.
It's kind of like the last pod with the era of bigs. But I mean, Magic and Jordan, and even Larry Bird to an extent, but this guy was putting up like 4 or 5 consecutive years of 20 and 10 as a guard. Like, that's nuts. And winning.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree. And you kind of bring up the point that probably one of the bigger ways these guys are connected is they both were considered pariahs among their peers, or at least in the media's perspective. I don't know so much about Kyrie. I think most of his peers like him. But like for the media, Kyrie's a pariah. And then among his peers, Zeke was kind of a pariah. So you can see the similarities there too.
And there was a fine line between competitiveness and divisiveness. And I think especially when we talk about the Dream Team, Isiah Thomas was so competitive on the court that it turned people off, like Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. And that I think that's what really hurt him with getting on that team in 92.
When I lived through that era, I was more than shocked. I was disappointed that he didn't make that team because, as Lucas did with the opening, he met the criteria, but he wasn't selected. 2-time NBA champion. 2-time. Within 2 years of the Dream Team being formed, this dude had 2 rings. 2 rings. And Stockton and Malone didn't have any rings. As far as statistics, guys, look, 14 assists a game is, like you said, Lucas, that's MVP-worthy production. And I never thought of that before until you mentioned it, is that maybe he deserved a little bit more attention. And we all know that Magic Johnson was the darling of the NBA. He saved the NBA with Larry Bird. The smile that Magic brought, Mr. Endorsement, like he could do no wrong, right? Well, it helped that he was 6'9". Isiah was 6. What'd you say, Lucas? 6'1" or 6 foot?
He was listed as 6'1", but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he was 5'11".
I think the reason why Isiah Thomas appealed to so many people of my generation was because he was a little guy. Once he got to 6 feet, that was it. But he was out there doing stuff that you couldn't explain. Kind of like Allen Iverson in terms of getting up with the dunks and the dribbling, the crossover. So Isiah Thomas has such an impact on so many young players in my generation growing up. I think he gets overlooked. The pariah label, Lucas, I think it's unfair. And to know that he committed so much and went through so much, he went through a lot. And to your point, Maurice, it developed a toughness in him, this idea of nothing is going to stop me from achieving my goals. And knowing, we'll get to teammates later, knowing what he played with, no offense to any of his teammates, but compared to some of the other stars of the NBA, oh my goodness. Magic, Larry.
Yeah. Those rosters, like you brought up AI, Uriah, those rosters were little 0-1 Sixers. There are a lot of Aaron McKees on those squads. Yeah. So he was defensive first, which you need, but yeah. Joe Dumars was not James Harden. I just wanted to close with one thing that came out in the highlights that really stood out, and I didn't know this about Isiah, was the touch around the rim. And that, to me, is where these guys are the most comparable. It was like the touch around the rim and the efficiency with the shot. It makes these guys actually very good comps, I would say.
Just to tag on to your point, Ben, there's so many acrobatic shots that Isiah Thomas has in his archive of moves. There's one play, I'm sure you guys have seen it, where the Pistons were playing, I think they were playing in Detroit in the Silver Dome. Is it the Silver Dome or the Palace? I don't know. Anyway, so they were playing in a playoff game against Atlanta. Isiah drives baseline and has to double clutch in the air. And you're like, oh, he's going to get that block. But he made the shot, and it was like a big shot. He jumps into the arms of Rick Mahorn. And just to know that this guy was a highlight reel of his day, the way Kyrie is now, is pretty phenomenal.
Fourth quarter, teammates.
You've seen a lot of Kyrie over the years. Does it ever get any easier going toe-to-toe with him?
No, he's special. And special players, they tend to get better as the game goes on and as you play against better players. And he's one of those special players.
I've always loved Kyrie. From before I met him to when I became his teammate to even now. I've always thought he was special. I think he has I mean, there's a reason why it's really only 24 of us here this weekend, and he's here for a reason. So,
all right, let's talk about Kyrie Irving's teammates. And like I always do, I like to start when they were drafted, 2011 NBA draft. And fun fact, just to start off, Kyrie Irving was drafted number 1 overall, but it wasn't the Cleveland Cavaliers pick. It was actually a trade that happened between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Los Angeles Clippers when they traded Mo Williams and Jamario Moon to the Clippers for Baron Davis and the 2011 first-round pick. Now, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about value.
Didn't know that. Did not know that.
I remember that trade.
Wow.
I loved watching Jamario Moon dunk, and I was very sad to see him leave. He was a highlight reel.
That's random.
Like, he was hey, this is now and then. This is back then. I liked seeing him dunk, right?
I just didn't remember that Baron Davis was even relevant at that time. So
I don't
that's
think he ever did. I don't think he ever played for the Cavs. Did he?
Not.
I
don't think so.
Wow,
No,
that's up there with people talk about the Nets trade that got them, Jalen and Jason, but that's up there with that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That was a result of that.
So imagine, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Clippers drafted Blake Griffin the year after, right? So imagine Kyrie and Blake on the same team.
No, Blake was before.
Okay, so a year before, but still,
Yeah.
could you imagine Kyrie and Blake on the same team? That would have been
Yeah, and Blake didn't play his first season.
Yeah,
so that was the reason why they got the number 1 pick. Because,
that's right.
Yeah, because their top guy was injured for the whole season. So that turned out to be great value for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Actually, with their pick, their 4th overall pick, they drafted, Tristan Thompson.
Yep, who just signed with the Cavs again.
He's become a journeyman, but Tristan Thompson during the Cleveland Cavaliers championship run was a very vital asset, a very vital player. He played center, he was a rebounder, and actually, I usually ask this question, but since we're already talking about him, Tristan Thompson played the most games with Kyrie, 425 games, and he won the most games with Kyrie, 236. When Kyrie first got drafted, the Cleveland Cavaliers weren't really competitive until the Cleveland native LeBron James came back after Miami, and that's when they were immediately a championship caliber team. They traded for Kevin Love, which they drafted. They drafted Andrew Wiggins, but they traded him for Kevin Love. They bring in guys like Amon Shumpert, J.R. Smith, even a defensive point guard like Matthew Dellavedova. I'm going to go around and just ask you guys, what are your memories about that 2016, 2017, the championship Cleveland Cavaliers teams with Kyrie and LeBron?
So before I get there, I got to talk about the pre-LeBron Cavs because they were horrendous.
Yeah, they were.
They got Deion Waiters, Anthony Bennett. Oh, gosh, that was a whiff. And it was interesting because I think if LeBron never came back, we would have looked at Kyrie completely different.
Yeah. Great
Kyrie
point.
Kyrie still probably would have been a journeyman like he is now, but maybe not as many All-Star appearances.
That's a good point. I think legacy is everything to certain stars. Journeymen, they're just happy to be in the NBA collecting a check. But guys like Kyrie, I think legacy matters. And because LeBron returned and they got that championship, that's something that is going to be under his belt and make him look good for the rest of his career, despite any off-court drama or controversy. In terms of teammates, look, Tristan Thompson, I think in that run was critical to what they needed in the paint. LeBron is LeBron, and it was definitely a great 1-2 punch. There's so many great highlights of lobs, Kyrie to LeBron and running the break. They're a fun team to watch. As far as the teams that were constructed before LeBron got there, it was a struggle. I remember Cleveland being in the doldrums and Kyrie flashy, putting on a show, but at the end of the day, they weren't collecting wins.
And I just want to add on here. I honestly believe that out of all of LeBron James's teammates, Kyrie was the best fit for him, even better than Anthony Davis.
The thing that stands out to me is the fit because of how efficient. And I think the thing that's most, because we focus on Kyrie's handles and his touch around the rim, but his shot making and his 3-point shooting and his foul shooting are like low key up there with Steph Curry.
Absolutely.
People don't talk about it, the difficulty. And it has to do with he's in the same era, but the efficiency that, Steph shoots with. So the fit, LeBron does well with shooters around him, and Kyrie is an incredible shooter. And so I would say that fit work. But for me, it's what I look back, Maurice, on that team is how it was constructed and like how they traded the number 1 pick, Andrew Wiggins, and they got, Kevin Love and LeBron, and just how it like all came together at the right. We've been talking about timing on this podcast and just how like the timing was there, because you have to remember Kyrie was in his 4th. He was approaching being a vet. So he was in his 4th, 5th season. So he had experience. So it wasn't like LeBron was going in there with like a 2nd-year guard.
He was only 23.
So, yeah. He was only 23, but he was going into his, I think, 5th season.
Yeah.
4th or 5th season. So it was like the timing was great. Kevin Love was still in his prime. He wanted out of there. But really how they – and everyone was just like them trading the number 1 pick. Like you don't see that.
I think people forget how good Kevin Love was. Kevin Love was a 2020 dude.
Yeah,
he was a 26-14
monster
for season, man.
He controlled the glass like nobody else in his time.
Kevin Love was really good. I would have done that trade, especially if you're bringing LeBron back. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the Boston Celtics, where, and I mentioned it earlier, Kyrie took more of a playmaker role on the Boston Celtics with a young Jason Tatum, I think a rookie Jaylen Brown. They traded Isiah Thomas, the other Isiah Thomas, to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Kyrie Irving. The way that team was constructed with Al Horford, they were built to win. And for whatever reason, I don't know, but they couldn't get over the hump. But that was a nice young core that the Boston Celtics had. What do you guys remember about that real quick?
Yeah, I would say too much of the same position. I mean, that's Boston's big issue, is that their 2 best players are heavy ISO. They don't look to pass first. They're incredible offensive talents, and Kyrie fits that mold. We mentioned his highest assists are still 6.9. That's his highest. And so I think it's just too much of the same. I also feel like that squad deserved more time. I feel like
I agree.
Tatum and Brown were only 20, 21. I feel like with more time and Tatum's development on defense, that's like he's insane 2-way player now. I think had Kyrie stuck it out there, they probably could have made a few NBA finals.
If we call it for what it is, we can put into perspective what that Boston team could have become with the potential that they had. If Kyrie Irving had developed the mentality of an Isiah Thomas, a pass first point guard, and you gave the stats earlier, Lucas, he was more than capable of distributing the basketball, but for whatever reason, he's okay, I got to get my 24, 25 points. And, we got Jaylen Brown and Tatum and obviously Horford. But guess what? If he maybe would have stepped back a little bit and changed his role, modified it to put the team in a position where everyone ate and scored and had a more even distribution of points, maybe Boston does get over the hump, Maurice. But as we know, his time in Boston was cut short for various reasons. But
we forgot that Kyrie wasn't the only big free agent acquisition that year either. Not free agent, but off-season acquisition. Gordon Hayward.
Prime Gordon
Hayward.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Gordon Hayward.
Where did he come from?
Utah. It was a free agent signing. First game of the season, he blew out his knee, if I remember correctly.
Right. Yeah, that was really ugly.
He like shattered his ankle, or it was something bad.
Something bad.
And
it ruined. Obviously, he changed him as a player moving forward. But you had that, and you had a young Marcus Smart on that squad.
But guess what, Lucas? That still does. Well, I'm not debating you. What am I talking about? You make a good point, sir. You made a great point.
Yeah. Thank you. You make good points too.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, to move on, and just to give a little bit of context from reports, I will say, Kyrie Irving made a promise to the Boston Celtics that he would resign there, but at the end of the season, he did not resign, so he went to the Brooklyn Nets. So, with the Brooklyn Nets, he had Kevin Durant, one of the greatest of all time. I mean,
yes, sir.
And then later on, the next season, they brought in James Harden. So they have a big three of the greatest of all time. All of them Hall of Famers. I mean, let's not even go there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they win nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say to close on that team, luck, man. The Kevin Durant toe, both Kyrie and James were injured that series. The better team definitely lost. Let's be real. The better team definitely lost, and because of injuries, in my opinion, in that series. So
they let everything else, the propaganda that the Chicago Bulls put on Isiah Thomas, that was propaganda. They let everything else get in the way of his greatness. And I tell people, I said, the greatest player I've ever played with is Isiah Thomas. And I have played with Michael. I have played with Kobe and Shaq. But the greatest player was Isiah Thomas.
See, that's your bad take of the day. There you go.
He's 6 foot, and he did everything everybody else was doing. And in the same amount of time that Steph Curry was playing, Isiah had better stats. But no one wants to mention it.
Was that John Sally?
That was John Sally. Yep.
Okay.
Shots fired.
Yeah, that's real shots fired.
But he played with Isiah and those other players, so
if anybody's going to have that opinion, it's a player that played with both. All right, so let's move on to Isiah Thomas' teammates. Isiah was drafted in 81, like previously mentioned. We all remember Isiah as hard-nosed, tough, kind of like the 80s version of what Allen Iverson is. And I think Ben mentioned earlier about the team's construction, where you had a bunch of defensive guys, tough, hard-nosed guys with a scoring small guard. We remember the bad boy Pistons as a team that was basically constructed to stop one person. That was Michael Jordan. Throughout that time, they bring in guys like, they drafted Joe Dumars, who's I think he's one of the best defensive guards ever. A little later on, Dennis Rodman, Bill Laimbeer, Rick Mahorn, and then they bring in guys like Mark McGuire, who was via trade, who was drafted actually before Isiah Thomas. Vinnie Microwave Johnson, another scoring guard off the bench that gave him a scoring punch. So when we talk about the Pistons and that type of roster construction, what do you guys think was the main focal point of that team besides Isiah Thomas that put them over the hump to win 2 championships back to back?
I watched this team intently when I was in middle school, and they became one of my favorite teams for obvious reasons. Isiah Thomas was electrifying. He was mesmerizing with the basketball, but to surround him with certain pieces that would help them get into the echelon of Boston, the echelon of the Lakers, it would not be an easy task. So they looked at defense and valued it to the point where they put guys around Isiah whose role was to simply rebound and force and protect the paint. So you look at a young Rodman who was skinny and they called him the worm, but did all the dirty work. You look at John Sally, you look at Bill Laimbeer, Rick Mahorn, who all had the same role. Isiah Thomas had limited options. Could you imagine if Isiah had Karl Malone? He'd average 18 assists a game.
Yeah.
But we know that Isiah was putting up those numbers without a Karl Malone, without a James Worthy, without a Larry Bird. To show you the greatness of Isiah Thomas, you look at what he was surrounded with. Not that those players weren't great, but he really did not have as many stars as, let's say, Kyrie did.
I mean, the defensive guys like that he had on his team were nuts. And just the dogs, and they were literally called the bad boys. And he seemed to get all of them. He got like the last bit of Aguirre and then Joe Dumars. And everyone seemed to know their role really well. And they were like efficient enough on offense. That's why it reminds me a little of that 01 Iverson team.
Yeah.
And in a way, the Denver, sorry, it's like fresh in my mind, but obviously he didn't have like Jamal Murray as his number 2 option. But in a way, the Denver team that we just saw, where there were so many guys who just knew their role, and like Malone just plays he's like, no, this dude's a dog on defense too, and prioritizing that defense.
Yeah, Aaron Gordon.
Yeah, Aaron Gordon, and even the rookie they played, like all of them, KCP, like just everyone's just like playing defense. And I think like we get so caught up, and even in that era, there were super teams with the Sixers and the Lakers and the Celtics. And this wasn't a super team, but they made 3 NBA finals and they won. They won 2 chips, and they weren't a super team. And I think we literally just saw that, a super team kind of, and so I think it's kind of cool to see that.
Wow.
So it's,
Preach. Oh my God, preach. That was a good point.
And I think a trend that we talked about doing these podcasts so far is roster construction. You got to have great roster construction surround your superstar players. And if you don't, they're not going to be superstars for long. I asked that question because in my personal opinion, I think Bill Laimbeer was the most important player on that Pistons team besides Isiah Thomas. Him and Isiah played 989 games together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez. Man.
And they won 602 games between the two of them.
So that's like 66% of their games pretty much.
Yes. I don't have a percentage, but yeah.
Yeah. Roughly.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive because he only played 12 years, Isiah.
Yeah.
Or 13 years.
Yeah. Bill Laimbeer was drafted in 81, but for whatever reason, I didn't look too much into that. He was traded to another team, and then he came back to Detroit, which is kind of weird. He was traded to Cleveland and came back to. Now that we've set up the debate with all the facts on Kyrie Irving and Isiah Thomas, it's time for you to make your case.
At this point, it's not about our opinion, it's about yours.
We'll see you on your favorite social media platform, ready to check out your takes. Chime in on our Instagram at NBA_NowAndThen_pod, on Twitter at NBA_NowAndThen, and on our Facebook page, NBA Now and Then.
All right, everyone. Until next time, this has been NBA Now and Then, the greatest comparisons. Check you later.
Have a good day.
See you.
Peace.